You're listening to the TransformationCoach.me podcast, and I'm your host, Adam Shively. Let's get after it. All right, my friends, welcome to another episode of the TransformationCoach.me podcast. It's your buddy, Adam. How we doing out there, world? I'm excited for this episode. I'm going to tell you what I've learned from 1,000 days without a cheat meal. Going strict for 1,000 days. But first, I want to give you guys a shout out. I've been getting some really awesome comments and messages sent my way through Facebook, Instagram, on the posts on our videos online. People are commenting in our boot camp. People are commenting on the comment section there under the workout videos. So I just wanted to give a few people a quick shout out, a quick little shout out. So first up, Leah sent me a comment, posted on our Defeat the Cheat group page that she listened to the last episode number 40, which I interviewed Mike Daggett of fatdag.com. And she said she listened to that one and has been binge listening, starting from the beginning and going forward. She said she's already 15 episodes in here just in a few days' time. So that's awesome. I appreciate that, Leah. Also, Gina, she hit me up on Facebook Messenger and said that she has listened to every single episode so far and can't wait for that new one to come out. And she also said she appreciated the fact that I kind of keep it real and try to simplify things as much as possible so that we can just figure out what is essential to get the results. So thank you very much, Gina. And then my girl, Mandy, she's been a guest on the podcast. She's one of my 100-pound club transformation clients. She sent me a text message 2 weeks ago when we took a 1-week break because I was launching a new boot camp product. And she was like, where in the hell is the next podcast? And there was even a little crying emoji. So we're back on track. I took that 1 week off. I apologize. But overall, it's really cool as a podcaster to know that we're connecting and that there's someone on the other end listening. Because it's kind of a weird deal because I'm just talking into my microphone sitting here in my home office, and my dogs are always right there by me, but I don't know if anyone else is listening other than Mr. Gus and Mrs. Millie, and they're usually asleep, snoring in the background. You guys know this. So it's really cool when somebody sends me that message or posts that message on Facebook or sends me a comment on Instagram or whatever, and they're like, hey, man, this made a difference. So that's cool. So I just wanted to say that I appreciate that. I appreciate you guys. That energy keeps me going, just knowing that we are connecting and that this time that I'm putting into the podcast and the blog and the videos, that it's counting. That makes a big difference for me. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, let's talk about 1,000 days without a cheat. So I want to start off, I want you guys to think about just your last 7 days, your last week, and all of the things, the good, the bad, the ugly, that you have encountered. And you've probably had at least a few stressful moments in there, right? And, the average person is going to have several stressful life curveballs thrown their way on a daily basis. That's just how it is, right? And I think one of the tricks to achieving transformation success is developing the ability to become great at handling these situations and making solid decisions on a daily basis. So, over the past 1,000 days, I feel like I've had a really solid sample of many of life's stressors and just things that we face as human beings. So, I've had work stress, I've had family stress, I've traveled for leisure, for vacations, I've traveled for work, even had a trip to Las Vegas in there for a week. I've had meetings, birthday parties, my own birthday, friends and family birthday, kids' birthday parties, all the holidays, all the holiday treats, the birth of my daughter, Hannah, who's now 2.5, and raising 2 young kids. There's a lot of curveballs that come when you're raising 2 young kids, a 2-year-old and a 6-year-old, and all you parents out there, shout out to you. Friends getting sick. I've got some friends. I've lost a couple. I've got some that are still battling it out. Those are tough situations that we all deal with. Minor injuries, that's just a part of my life. I push my body pretty hard, so there's little things that happen here and there. And being sick, random colds, flus, things my kids drag home and expose me to. Allergies. Right now, my allergies are kicking my butt, so I apologize if if I'm sounding a little bit off. My voice is wearing down a little bit, but I'll try to power through it for you guys. I had my first major surgery after tearing my pec muscle at a adventure race, at a mud run, and I had to take 5 months off of exercise. And being somebody that is kind of defined as a fitness person, as a fitness expert, if you dare to go that direction, that's a big deal. Taking 5 months off of exercise, there were a lot of stressful moments in there, all right? And, and pretty much everything else that everybody deals with on a regular basis. And I'm not trying to say, look at all the hardships I've faced. What I'm trying to say is, if you went over your last 1,000 days, I guarantee your list would be very similar to mine. Probably tougher, right? Maybe worse than mine. Maybe easier than mine. Who knows? So, that's what I'm trying to get at here is we all have all these things thrown at us on a consistent basis. And this challenge, this 1,000-day challenge, just kind of started off organically, where I was just going to just not cheat for a while and just see how it goes. I was in the pattern where I'd take a regular cheat day or a regular cheat meal each week, and I just see so many people struggling with cheats, and it just dawned on me, like, I need to do something significant to prove people if I can go X, Y, Z amount of time without a cheat, then they can do a day. They can do a meal. They can do 1 week. They can do 1 month. And so just setting an extreme example and not saying you guys should do this too, but saying, hey, if I can do 1,000, you can do 1 day. You can take this 1 meal at a time and fuel your body with the correct things. All right. So basically the goal was to just dive in, and I wanted to build my decision-making muscles one challenge at a time. So as life throws that curveball at me, I'm going to take it one at a time and build the muscles that allow me to make great decisions. So before I dive into what I learned from all this and some takeaways and what I want you to do, is I wanted to define the rules that I was playing by, because I know you guys are going to ask that. Like, okay, what's a cheat? What isn't a cheat? Let's talk about all that first. So over the course of the 1,000 days, I did use a few different nutrition strategies. I've talked about this in previous episodes, where I pull out a nutrition strategy based off of my goal. So it's not like I was on plan A for the 1,000 days. I did some low carb. I did some high carb. I did some carb cycling. I did some keto stuff, paleo. It just depended what my goal was at the time, and that's the plan that I used. But I did have a few basics that I followed the entire 1,000 days as just a guiding set of rules. There was no gluten. There was no sugar, there was no caffeine, there was no alcohol, and there was no processed food or dairy, other than about 10 days where I was experimenting with my keto paleo hybrid diet, and I added in cheese for about 10 days, and as I had hypothesized, it didn't really turn out so well for me. I just don't handle dairy very well at all in my digestive tract. So there were about 10 days of some cheese experimentations in there. Other than that, absolutely no processed food or dairy. So those were the overall guiding principles. And there are a few other little curveballs in there. Like the first 365 days, I did no carbs. I was on an extreme low-carb, high-fat diet, and I was experimenting with some things there where I just ate green vegetables and nuts as carb sources. So just a little aside there on a few things. But those guidelines, those basic rules, no gluten, no sugar, no caffeine, no alcohol, no processed food and dairy, those were the guiding principles for the 1,000 days. All right, so let's talk about what I learned, because that's what's really important. It wasn't, sometimes people just do challenges just to do a thing and just to be plugged in, and that's okay. If you need some motivation, it's kind of a spark. But I'm really focused on learning. Like, that's one of my greatest passions in life, is to learn things and keep learning and improve and become more efficient, and then be able to turn around and share that knowledge with you guys. I put in a lot of time just trying to educate myself and experiment and learn and get better. And that way, if it takes me 1,000 days to figure something out, I can teach it to you in a podcast episode. That's cool. That's you guys leveraging me and what I'm passionate about, and that is being super efficient. So, yay for us. All right. So takeaway number one, what I learned: we can handle anything that is thrown our way. We just have to choose to. All right. As I took on each challenge, life just tossed these things at me randomly. Like I said, it happens to all of us. I just was able to think my way through it, and I overcame it. And there was no need for me to rush to the nearest fast food establishment to seek emotional relief. If we actually want to overcome a situation, we will. Like I talked about in the last podcast with Mike, we talked about, if your why is big enough, you'll find the how. And if your why is big enough, you'll overcome the why nots. So that's, if we really want to succeed, we can. It's just a choice. It's a decision. So that's the first thing that I learned, that it was just kind of an overlying principle throughout the 1,000 days. It was just, I'd ask myself, do I want to make the right decision right now? Is it worth it? Do I want to keep going? What kind of an example am I setting for my clients? What kind of an example am I setting for my family, my friends? How am I representing myself? Am I going to make the tough decision and win in this moment? I would just ask myself things like that. So that's my first takeaway. We can handle anything that is thrown our way if we actually want to overcome the situation, right? We will find a way to do it. So takeaway number 2. It all comes down to making great decisions, right? I've already kind of hinted at that, but people tend to look for sexy solutions for body transformation. I get, twice as many messages about, what's the magic exercise or the magic food that's going to melt away all the fat in 5 minutes, the supplement. What supplement am I going to take to get better recovery or whatever, blah, blah, blah. You guys know what I'm talking about. I get way more messages with people focused on that, and I got to give it to you straight, right? It's not going to matter what your exercise routine is or what your nutrition plan is if you are a sucky decision maker. In the moment of decision, if you crumble, you will not hit the goals that you're going after. It's that simple. Right? It's that simple. It does not matter if you're on the super duper diet plan. If every time you hit a stressful moment, you cheat, it doesn't matter. All right? You're not going to hit the results. You're wasting time, money, and effort, right? And it's so simple, but so hard. So how do we build up our decision-making power? And over my 1,000 days, I did that just by focusing on making one good decision at a time and then letting the momentum build. All right, so I didn't think I've got these 15 decisions to make today. I'll talk about it in a second, but I look ahead and try to set myself up to succeed. But in the moment, I'm not worried about those other decisions. I'm worried about that one. And, okay, how do I win this one decision right now and then move forward with momentum? All right, you get that first win. Am I going to show up for my class that I'm scheduled for? Or am I going to hit the snooze button? That's the first decision. It's not, am I going to show up? Am I going to cook my first meal? Am I going to, I got this lunch meeting. How am I going to figure that out? You should be thinking in advance and have a general idea. But in the moment, that alarm goes off, and you say, am I going to show up? Am I going to get the job done that I've set myself up to do? Am I going to get after my goal? Am I going to put my feet on the floor, hit the button to shut off the alarm, get dressed, and go to work out? That's decision number 1. All right. So, takeaway number 3. I always had to work from a home-based plan. So I had to know what the rules of the game were at all times so that I could map things out in advance and set myself up to make the best possible decision when the moment arrived. And again, people kind of put on their crybaby pants about this sometimes. They're like, do I always have to work from a plan? Do I always have to think, Adam? Oh, thinking is so difficult. And it's just like, suck it up. Do you want to live 60 pounds overweight your entire life and die 20 years before you should? I think thinking a little bit and having a plan and spending 20 minutes, 30 minutes a week, that's worth it. That's worth it. You are worth it. You just have to make that decision. And sometimes when I'm working with a challenging client that isn't really wanting to play by the rules, it feels like trying to play Monopoly with my 6-year-old son, Henry. He's got no interest in learning the rules. He doesn't know what the rules of the game are. So he makes up his own rules as he goes, and then he quits about 10 minutes into the game because he isn't having any fun. Right? Sound familiar, guys? So if people aren't willing to think about and define the rules of the game, they're going to lose interest pretty quick because there's no way to measure results. There's no accountability, and you're just taking random action, and you don't know what works. Even if you do get something that works, you're like, okay, well, what worked? I've been doing random things, so who really knows? And you just don't get any traction. So I always had to work from a home-based plan. That's takeaway number 3. Takeaway number 4. Here we go. I had to shift my focus point from food to the experience. All right? I'm going to say it again. I had to shift my focus point from the food to the experience. And this was probably the biggest surprise I got out of this whole 1,000-day challenge. I learned that when we aren't focused on stuffing our face with sugar, alcohol, all that stuff, cakes, candies, our ability to enjoy the moment and connect with people is taken to a whole new level. So when it's not about the food, it becomes about the experience and the moment and the people. And so every single holiday became about connecting with the people I love. Every business trip became about learning as much as possible and making connections. Even my week in Las Vegas was awesome. All right, I was there to learn from Tony Robbins, somebody that is just a hero to me. And I was able to 100% focus on the experience. I wasn't focused about the food, gambling, booze. I've never even been to Las Vegas before. And it wasn't like I just sat in my hotel room and just isolated myself. I was there to get a job done. That was to learn from Tony Robbins. And I did it. I threw 1,000% focus into that. And it wasn't like, oh, man, I'm going to go and hit the gambling table afterward or go and drink all night afterward and party just because I was in Las Vegas. That wasn't what I was there to do. All right? So in that 1 week, I learned more than what most people would learn in a year. And I met some amazing people that I'm still connected to, still doing business with. And I'm still getting momentum from that because I gave it everything I had. It wasn't just about the opportunity to stuff my face with food. To me, at this point, food is fuel for everything else that I want to do. And everything else that I want to do is more valuable to me than that sugar rush or that, feeling of being a little bit buzzed from alcohol or whatever. All of the stuff that I'm setting out to do in life is fueled by my healthy, clean nutrition, and that is what it's about. Now, the big question. I know you're going to ask it. I know it. I know what it is, and you know what it is. Did you take a cheat yet, Adam? You did the 1,000-day thing. Have you taken a cheat meal yet? The answer is no, but here's the deal. I'm in control, so I win. The food does not control me at all at this point. So there's not, I'm very, very, very confident that there's not going to be a moment of me, just emotionally eating or just eating something bad because I didn't prepare in advance or didn't have anything good around. Or, I get people that are like, well, I'm going to a work conference and they prepare all the food. I got to eat whatever's in front of me. Like, I've done all that during this 1,000 days. And, I've never been in a situation where somebody puts a gun to my head and says, you have to eat this pizza because that's what we provided for you. And if anybody has a problem with me bringing my own food or eating what I want to eat or asking for an alternate meal, then they're the ones with the problem. I've said that a lot, but I'm going to keep saying it because that's the deal. That's an easy cop-out for anybody where, if you're trying to be healthy and trying to follow a plan and you have goals and you're going after it, then you have the right to fuel your body in the way that you prefer to fuel that. All right, that's in line with your goals. That's in line with your mission. All right, so I went off on a tangent there. So let's talk about you guys. All right, let's back it up. I need to finish the point on the cheat first. Back it up. As always, no edits. You guys get all the good stuff. I'm too busy to edit my podcast. So the cheat. Will I eventually take one? Sure. But like I said, it's not going to be that emotional breakdown. It's not going to be that, oh, woe is me. I'm left without options. I will cheat. It's going to just be like me going out with some friends and having sushi or me taking my kids or my family out for ice cream. But it's going to be led by the moment, not the food. Does that make sense? It's going to be because I want to hang out with my friends and we'd go and get a nice sushi dinner. And that, is going to have gluten in it, and I probably won't be able to leave the house for 5 days. So that's the way it is. Hopefully these are some really good friends. But, it's led by the moment, not the food. It's not like, hey, y'all, let's go to the all-you-can-eat pizza buffet, and we'll hang out also. No, I want to spend time with you guys because you're people that I enjoy being around, I learn from, I care about, and we can share some good positive energy and all that. People that, you can hang around and get good momentum from. That's what it's going to be about. Or just going and being with my family. And everybody, my kids will freak out because we go and we get, ice cream, or we go out and eat, and they eat dessert and stuff like that. And they, my daughter has never seen me eat anything with sugar in it because I started this before she was alive. And my son probably won't remember me eating, any sort of birthday cake or any ice cream or anything like that. So they'll probably freak out that dad is actually partaking, but it'll be about being with them. And it's not going to be, let's see how much ice cream I can eat, or let's just stuff ourselves, or let's go and do this thing because of the food. I want to just be led by the people, by the experience, by the moment. So that is my guiding principle moving forward. All right. I feel like I've hammered that home. So let's talk about you guys. Hopefully, you're starting to feel the mojo a little bit. And like I said, don't feel intimidated like you have to go 1,000 days. And that's what I'm preaching. Like, the ticket is to go 1,000 days without cheating. If you feel like food controls you too much, I do think you need to go an extended period of time without cheating on your plan. But we got to put one foot in front of the other, one step at a time, and we got to make the first couple steps count. All right, so some suggestions. First thing, you got to have a plan. All right, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. I said that correctly. I was worried about that, and I nailed it. So if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. We got to have a plan put together. I've talked about my battle plan workbook. It's a free tool. I'll put a link in the show notes and in the blog. I would recommend you check that out. It's free. It's going to help you map out your first 4 weeks. All right? Cheats, danger zones. If you're going cheat-free, obviously there would be no cheats. But if you are going to take some cheats or just want to start to minimize the amount of cheats that you do take, it's a great tool. But you're going to map out your exercise, your nutrition. It's got some daily journaling, some week in review stuff. So it's kind of the perfect tool that I've assembled that helps my clients get a grip on their situation the most. So you can download that. That's what I'd recommend. Also, once you kind of get the planning phase down, set up a little challenge for yourself, whether it's going, a week without cheating on your plan, or a month. Maybe you want to go 6 months, 3 months, whatever it is, but just start spacing out. And the more space you have between cheat number 1 and cheat number 2, or cheat 0 to cheat number 1, or whatever it is, the more space you have between those, the more strength you have, the more control you have. All those cravings, all that sugar, and doesn't have that grip over you like it used to. Like, you can just put all kinds of food in front of me right now, and it won't matter. I don't have those cravings. And it didn't take the full 1,000 days to get there. Usually, for me, I started feeling really rock solid at about 90 days. And I've had clients that have done a 100-day cheat free, and they feel the same way. Right? About 90 to 100, you start to feel, a little bit bulletproof with this whole cheat thing. So the key is one day at a time, have a plan, and then set up a little challenge for yourself. Now, if you guys want to jump in, it always helps to have a group of like-minded, supportive people. So if you guys want to jump in on one of my challenges, I'm running at least one a month through my Defeat the Cheat crew. You can just go to www.defeatthecheat.com. It's my Facebook group. You have to request to join. But we are running a monthly challenge, either fitness-based or nutrition-based, but it's momentum-based. It's personal momentum building through different, modules and things that I put together where I'm going to teach you something. So this Sunday, if you are listening in on the live, all right, if you're up to speed on all the episodes, this Sunday, May 21st, we're starting a 5-day fat burning challenge, and you can jump in on that. Just go to the Defeat the Cheat group that I mentioned there, defeatthecheat.com, and we'll get you set up. And the cool thing is I'm archiving all the challenges now, and you'll be able to watch those as well. So it's pretty cool. Again, it's free. So there's a couple of free ways that you can plug in and start to build some personal momentum. I think that's the key thing here is you can't be intimidated and say, oh, I cheat all the time. It's going to be too hard. I can't do this. And you also, at the same point, you can't just wait and expect for things to be perfect. That's a huge mistake. I probably need to do a podcast episode just on that alone, where people make that mistake. They're just like, man, in a couple of weeks here, things are going to die down, and then I'm going to really get serious and get going. And that never happens. Like, you have to flip the switch and think differently. What I always tell people, if I do, put together a boot camp or a 4-week program or an 8-week program, they're like, well, these dates are a little tricky. I've got a vacation in there. I'm like, awesome. Let's learn how to rock the vacation. Is this a common danger zone? Do you usually gain weight on vacation? Yes. Well, let's learn how to gain less weight. It doesn't have to be perfect, but what if we can gain only 5 pounds instead of 10 pounds? And that's, you have to lose half the amount of weight when you come back. Then the wheels start turning. So I want to challenge you guys to step up to the challenge. Like I said, life will throw the curveballs at us no matter what, daily. There's never a perfect time to start losing weight, so let's just get started now. Let's get started now. So I feel like we're good. I feel like we hammered this one home. I feel good about it. And let me know what you think. Be sure to leave me a comment online, send me a message. If you guys could make the time to leave me a review, do a rating and review on iTunes and or SoundCloud, it's huge. Like, that is how they judge their rankings. And if I move up in the rankings on either one of those, then we expose the message to more people. It's so cool to see people hit this podcast for the first time and like, damn, this is different. This is a different way of thinking, and it's helpful. And we want to connect with more people and get that message out there. So if you guys could take the time to do that, I know that iTunes does not make it especially easy, but you just dig in, you go into the place where you would adjust your music and, download music and things like that. You can go to the podcast section, search for the TransformationCoach.me podcast. If you haven't subscribed, hit that button first, and then leave me a review and a rating. I would greatly appreciate it. I appreciate you guys either way. All right, I appreciate that energy, and I just want to inspire you, as always, to get out there, and I want you to own it. Every meal, every workout, every day. I'll see you on the next episode. Hey, before you guys head out, I just want to remind you really quickly to come and check out my free Facebook support group, the Defeat the Cheat group. You can head on over to www.defeatthecheat.com. That will redirect you directly to the place where you can join our free Facebook support group. It is awesome. These people are on fire. If you guys struggle with being consistent with your nutrition and your fitness, and you need a little bit of support, a little bit of mojo, a little bit of help, we've got it for you. We've got your back. All nutrition plans, all workout systems are welcome. There's no judgment there. It's no, our program is better than your program. It's about following the program and supporting you on your own transformation journey. I'm telling you, it's awesome. We're doing 14-day challenges. We're sharing recipes, motivational quotes, tips. Every day there's something on there that's going to inspire you. I guarantee it. So come on over, check it out, www.defeatthecheat.com. We'll see you inside the group.